Wow, Pokemon hitting each other. How original. But here's a good question. What makes a fighting type move? Like, how is the normal type Comet Punch different from a Focus Punch? Or all of these other punch moves? Man, there's a lot of punch moves. I guess punching is pretty necessary in the context of battling. But really though, what makes a fighting type move fighting type? What's special about them? And how do each of them individually function? Today, we're going to go through every fighting type move and figure that out. Starting, of course, with Mr. Punchy Pants. So, here's how this is gonna throw down. Normal types, beware, because this video is filled with Pan-champions. I sure hope you viewers aren't planning on stealing this video, because that's too bad, because it's mine, foo! Man, keep these bad puns out of here. I am so sorry, but please don't let my bad puns breloom over you, because I'm gonna make your noggin buzz swole with knowledge, Machamp in the making. Knowledge about how each of the fighting type moves works, as well as maybe what some of the fighting styles are. We've previously discussed fighting type Pokemon themselves, but the moves they use can be interesting too. Trust me. Now then, Hitmonchan can learn just about every single punch move, because that's all it's good for. Punches by default make sense as a fighting type move, as when do you punch things besides when you're fighting it? However, not all punch moves are fighting type. This makes sense for some. Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch all fill the punch with elemental energy, so it changes the type, obviously. But then there's Dizzy, Comet, and Mega Punch. All normal type. I guess the details will be explained in the normal moves video, but on the surface, I guess this makes sense. Just look at the fighting type punch moves. Dynamic Punch, Focus Punch, Drain Punch, Mach Punch, and Power Up Punch. Through names alone, these just scream Street Fighter. A Dynamic Punch takes skill. A Focus Punch takes fighting spirit and focus. A Dizzy Punch, well, you're just kinda dizzy and you happen to punch something as you're stumbling around. Even the normal type Mega Punch is easy. Rather than a skillful strike with a fist, it's just raw power, raw strength in the arm, striking with a fist. Think of it like this. Here comes big, strong Russian lumberjack versus Kung Fu Master. Sure, the lumberjack is stronger, but he's not gonna win against the skill of a Kung Fu master. That's strong normal type versus fighting types for you. And that's why some punch moves are normal. Lumberjack can throw a pretty powerful punch, but it is not necessarily a skillful fighting type one. So now, let's get to the nitty-gritty details. Dynamic Punch is a punch so unique it's characterized by constant change and activity, which is the definition of dynamic. As such, it misses half the time. But when it does land, it always confuses the opponent. It's like a very specific strike to the head. When you get punched in the head enough times, you start getting lightheaded and confused. Meaning, in a battle situation, you often protect your head above all else, leading many to dodging any attacks to the head, such as this Dynamic Punch. But when that punch does land, oh man, you get dizzy. Mach Punch is an incredibly fast strike, blinding speed. To move so quickly takes a lot of fighting skill. Drain Punch is interesting. It's a punch that then drains the hit points of who it hits and feeds it to the attacker. So it's like all of those grass-type drain moves, but it's a punch. Focus Punch has the user calm down mid-battle and begin focusing. It pays close attention to its opponent, and so long as it remains undistracted, its next strike will be devastating. But if it is hit while it's focusing, it loses focus and doesn't attack at all. This move is very inspired by many Eastern fighting styles, and this type of attack is shown in media all the time. Rather than just going out fists a-blazing, take a step back and analyze the situation and strike at just the right time. It takes a very skilled and calm fighter to do this. A lot of focus. Power Up Punch has the attacker send out a flurry of weak punches really quickly, which do little damage, but in doing so, it raises their attack. In a way, by moving so fast and striking so quickly, it got their blood really flowing and got their adrenaline pumping. Adrenaline being the fight or flight hormone, increasing all of your senses and your strength in a burst. This is very important for fighting type Pokemon. Sky Uppercut is a powerful upwards blow, capable of even hitting Pokemon high in the air. Uppercuts are a powerful tool in boxing. Oftentimes, a boxer can only block from certain directions at a time. Block the front, block the sides, block the bottom, etc. And if you can catch them off guard while they're guarding elsewhere, you can land an uppercut in the middle of their forward guard. Uppercuts hurt especially so because they can send your head flying back, bringing extra pain to the neck. Ouch. And those were the punch-specific moves. But there are other fighting-type moves that use the hands and arms primarily, so let's cover those next. Karate Chop is actually normal type. What? Oh, okay, that's just Gen 1. They fixed it. In the karate or karate fighting style, it is common to strike with the side of your hand rather than a fist. This way, while the attacks may individually be weaker, you have more precision. It's perfect for hitting joints, causing your opponent to stumble. And famously, it can also be used to chop wood and concrete in half. This works due to physics exploits and precisely striking where a structure is weakest, rather than raw power. So again, skill. This is also the reason why Rock-type Pokemon are weak to Fighting-type moves, and where the move Rock Smash comes from. It's a precise strike capable of smashing a rock. And Brick Break too, a precise strike capable of removing light screens and reflect barriers. In Japanese, the name is called Tile Break, and both are also referring to chop-like moves which are capable of breaking bricks or breaking tiles. Cross Chop is 2 Karate Chop attacks at once, and it is very powerful. It may be using the idea of striking both sides of the lower neck at once. A very disorienting thing to happen. Almost makes your brain skip a heartbeat. Wake Up Slap is a strong smack right across the cheek, and if the Pokemon was sleeping, it deals even more damage. The cheeks are very sensitive to slap-induced pain, all 4 of them. And often, when sleeping, the facial nerves may have heightened awareness, just in case you need to wake up because of something on your face. So, a slap to the face while sleeping is an easy way to wake someone up. And a super hard smack to the face, especially while sleeping, hurts an extra amount. Arm thrust is just that. The user thrusts its arms forward with an open palm. Attacks like this are common in sumo wrestling, hence Hariyama and Embor using them a lot, as well as E Honda. Hariyama also uses force palm a lot. It's a strong, open-palmed slap that sends a shockwave out, able to attack those up close or from afar. It's Lucario's side special in Smash Bros. And those were the hand E-moves, but are they the only handy moves? Nah. Up next, we've got feet, kicks, and leg things. Most kick moves follow the same logic trail as the punches, but they incorporate different fighting styles. Instead of boxing, kickboxing, and more Eastern stuff. Low kick is just, well, that. It's a low kick, like a kick to the shins. The shins are susceptible to pain because there usually isn't much muscle or fat there to help soften the blow. So your nerves get crushed between the kicker's foot and the bone, often resulting in whoever got hit to flinch and grab their leg. Lots of pain. Maybe they'll even fall over because they're so heavy, which is why this attack can cause flinching and does more damage the heavier the victim is. Jump kick, though, is like the opposite. The attacker jumps in the air and lets gravity do the work for them, sending their foot straight into their opponent. But if they miss, they kick the ground instead, and, well, you just kicked the ground. It's not as squishy, so it hurts you instead. High jump kick is the same, but it deals even more damage. The jump was higher, so there is more time to fall, so you fall faster in the end. Double kick is simply kicking twice. Most of the Pokemon that learn it are quadrupeds, so it's easy to kick with both legs. Triple kick is simply kicking 3 times, and it's only known by Hitmontop and Pheromosa, both very skilled kickers. Low sweep is a sweeping kick to the legs, which lowers the target's speed. Normally moves like this are used to trip your opponent, meaning they need to take time to get back up. Rolling kick is similar. The user spins around and kicks. The idea here is that it's a fast and disorienting attack, so it may make the target flinch. The kick moves are all very straightforward, a lot less complicated than our next category, which are throws. Yes, throw. The Pokemon. Its moves. The moves it can learn. Haha. But really, grabs and throws are all important to fighting. There are even several fighting styles that are based on it alone. Think Judo. Vital Throw always attacks second, as the idea is, when being attacked, you grab your attacker and then throw them to the ground, which induces pain. Circle Throw has the user grab its opponent and fall onto its back. Using all of that momentum, it's able to throw its enemy super far. In a trainer battle, this means the trainer has to swap Pokemon now. In the wild, it means you just threw the Pokemon so far that the battle is over. Oh, I hope it doesn't get lost. Seismic Toss is when you grab your opponent, often from behind, and spin them around possibly numerous times before throwing them to the ground head first. It's very powerful and very disorienting. All of the blood rushes to your head, giving you a head rush. On top of that, you are dizzy from all the spinning and being slammed down. Which way is even up anymore? They just don't know. Their world is upside down. It got flipped. Hence, the world being shown when this attack is used. Submission is similar. You grab your opponent and spin him a couple of times, using the momentum to slam him into the ground. Yourself included. But in doing so, you are hurt slightly too, because the ground hurts, man. And Storm Throw is only naturally learned by Pincer and Throw, and it has them grab onto their opponent and pummel them while they are unable to escape, always resulting in a critical hit. And those were the throws. Next up, let's just throw the rest of the attacks in a bucket and pull them out. Aura Sphere and Focus Blast are both special fighting type moves based on the idea of chi or ki energy, where, with enough training, you can use your soul, your aura, your fighting spirit to send out a blast of energy. It's similar in concept to the Kamehameha, or the Hadouken. Notably, despite the appearance, attacks like this are most often depicted as not being fiery or hot or searing. The Hadouken specifically is described as a warm punch, so it's just like sending out a ranged punch. Flying Press is exclusive to Hawlucha and Libre Pikachu, but let's ignore her. It's actually fighting and flying type at the same time, and we need more moves like this. But anyway, it is a specialized body slam from high up in the air, inspired by professional Mexican wrestling, which is more for the spectacle and fun rather than actually being effective. Vacuum Wave is complicated and basically impossible, but let's explain it anyway. The user whirls its fists to send a wave of pure vacuum at the foe, is its official description. In order to create a vacuum in this sense, let's explain with an analogy. Think of a semi-truck driving on the freeway. The air moves around it, but then at the back of the cuboid trailer, that air doesn't move down immediately. Instead, it curls in and under. It's aerodynamics. It creates drag, a negative pressure zone. There is less air right behind the truck than there is a bit further back. If you increase this difference more and more, eventually the negative pressure would become a vacuum. But to do that would take ridiculous speeds and strength. And we just don't have the time to calculate that right now, but we will eventually. But for now, you can just say, it's stupid. You can't just spin a fist around to create a vacuum and then send that vacuum forward. The air pressure around it would fill it almost immediately. What the heck, Game Freak? My suspension of disbelief is ruined! Sacred Sword is what the Swords of Justice are all about. They slice with their sharp horns with such skill that they ignore any defense buffs their opponent may have. These Pokemon are based on the Three Musketeers, who would use rapiers to fight, which are swords that are more skill-based rather than strength, and can also strike with precision through holes in armor. Or in this case, a buffed defense stat. Secret Sword is this thing's signature move. What makes it unique is that it's a special attack that causes physical damage. It has extra range like most special attacks, as it fills the area in front of its horn with magical energy. Because of this, it uses Kildeo's special attack stat for its power, but then this magical energy becomes physical in form, so it uses the victim's physical defense. It's a very unique move. Reversel is a generic sort of attack. Could be anything going on here, really. Use your imagination. But its main draw is that the move is stronger based on how low your Pokemon's health is. It may be inspired from generic anime crap, where the hero always gets beat to near death before magically becoming stronger and turning the tide of battle at the very end.
Whoa! Wow, the suspense! It was so original!
Though, there can be some scientific basis to this, as it's all adrenaline again. If you're nearly passed out, about to be defeated, or even killed, your body is going to do everything it can to survive, so it may very well release absolutely everything it has left in store, giving you that final burst of energy. And if trained properly as a skilled fighter would be, you can utilize this power super well, instead of just chimping out. Final Gambit is similar, but in a different sort of way. Wasn't that a very nice and important sentence? With this move, your Pokemon drains all of its energy, its HP, and faints, right after dealing a massive blow. The more HP it had left, the stronger the attack is. It's the whole, give it all you got, 110% thing, as well as, I'm taking you down with me sort of aggression. Superpower is also an adrenaline boost. The user does whatever this animation's trying to get across. Again, just use your imagination. It puts so much power into a single strike that it winds up extra tired afterwards, so its attack and defense stats are lowered. Close combat follows a similar idea, but rather than putting all of your energy into a huge blow, the Pokemon gets super up close and personal, striking several times as fast as it can, and not worrying about its defense at all. It's all about offense right now. As such, the defense and special defense stats drop. Revenge is another move with an adrenaline boost. If the attacker was already attacked this turn, then Revenge will do more damage. Each time your brain receives a pain signal, it sends out a little bit of adrenaline. The greater the pain or danger, the greater the amount, giving you yet another burst of power to strengthen up your next attack. Counter, though, is more skillful. Rather than a retaliation after an attack, you use the attack that was sent your way against its own user. Think of a kung fu or judo master. You go in to punch them, and instead they counter by grabbing your arm and flipping you around half a dozen times, using the momentum of your own attack against you. And as such, if your Pokemon using counter doesn't get attacked by a physical attack, well, it has nothing to counter, so it doesn't do anything. Detect is also a masterful move. The Pokemon pays very close attention to its opponent and detects any attacks that turn, and can thus perfectly avoid the attack as a master should. Quick Guard is also masterful. Think of those action movie scenes where a fighter in training tries to catch his master off guard with a quick jab, and the master blocks it perfectly. The idea here is that the user will protect itself and its teammates from priority attacks, meaning the extra quick ones like Quick Attack and Mach Punch. It can do this because of its reaction time, blocking quick but weak attacks. But if it's attacked by a particularly strong attack, it can't do much. It's like using your hands to try and block a Buster Sword. Mat Block is learned only by Throw and Greninja, and has similar functions. The user brings up a tatami mat, which are frequently used as floorboards in dojos, places of training in Japan. In raising it up, it now has something to hide behind, thus protecting it from damage-dealing attacks. Bulk Up is an easy one. The user bulks itself up to raise its attack and defense at the same time. Bulking up is a term commonly used by workout guys. They are accumulating mass, bulking up to get bigger muscles. And lastly, All-Out Pummeling is the fighting type Z move, wherein the user absorbs all that Z energy to form an energy orb, again inspired from Chi, and shapes and slams it into the opponent, either up close or from afar, depending on the move the Z power strengthened. This then, of course, induces pain. Whew. Well then, fighting type moves turned out to be way more interesting than Steel, which was surprising to me because, it's fighting. That's what all Pokemon do. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this look into these moves. I'll catch you on the next one. And until next time, detect that like button and give it a dynamic punch. And please consider supporting this channel through Patreon or our merch store. And never stop using your noggin.